This is Pat with Pat's 2 Cents, and I am so proud and honored to introduce this phenomenal corporate attorney. She's involved in business development, and I want you to hear her take on how she sees Christians dealing with the immigration crisis and what they have said to her. Where is the love, y'all? Listen to this.
Well, first of all, I have to admit that I am not Christian. And so this observation is only from a non-Christian observing people who say they are Christian. Mm-hmm. So I know quite a few people who are Christian and maybe even leaning very hard conservatively toward a conservative point of view. And many of those people have expressed to me how much they cannot stand these illegal immigrants and how we have to close the border and how we don't know who they are and they're committing crimes and raping people and just villainizing those people without knowing anything about their background. And I've often stopped to wonder, wow, what kind of life must you have? How bad must it be in your own country that you're willing to risk your own life and safety and freedom by sneaking into another country to try to get work where you'll probably not even get paid minimum wage and be working long hours, and everyone in that country basically villainizes your existence there. It must be an unbelievably horrific situation of no choice to make that type of decision, you know, and thinking, what would my situation have to be here in the United States where it was so bad that I would take a chance, risk sneaking into Canada and working 10 to 12, 14, 16 hours a day with a substandard life because I had to, because I felt like I had no choice.
Right.
And to take my kids and family with that. And what a horrible thing it would be knowing the people in Canada hated me and villainized me, but yet I had to do that just to survive. And I think a lot of people who villainize illegal immigrants really aren't putting themselves in the shoes of that person having to make that decision. That's number one. Number two, a lot of the people I know who do villainize illegal immigrants just tend to be Christians and or claim to be Christian, let me say that, and claim to be a follower of Jesus Christ. And I've often wondered, how could you make that claim when you talk so terribly about illegal immigrants? Because Jesus is all left, right? Jesus Christ would say, open up your house, feed that mother and baby, give them some shelter, maybe even help them find another place to live. The doors will be flung open. Yet the people who I hear talk about the illegal immigrants, it may just be coincidental, but it's mostly people who claim to be Christian. And so I really wonder, are they truly Christian? Do they really believe in Jesus Christ? And I tend to think no. I think they must not, because there's no way you could make that statement about people and still state that you're following Jesus' teachings. I mean, I'm not Christian, but I thought being Christian is meaning you're trying to be Christ-like and follow his teachings. Mm-hmm. And so if you villainize people you haven't even met for reasons you don't even know, and you're fine with throwing them in jail and kicking them back out so easily, so casually, that you really must not be Jesus because or Christian, because there is no way you would say that with Jesus standing right there next to you. There is no way, if you really believed in Jesus, if you believed he's alive and real and hearing everything you say and doing everything you do, there's no way you would make that statement knowing that Jesus is hearing you talk. And so I'm wondering if these people they're not really Christian, but Christianity makes them feel like they're part of a group or like they're special or different, or maybe it makes them absolve themselves of their sin, right, by saying I'm Christian, but you don't really mean it because you're not following the acts, you're not following the Christian principles and teaching when you talk about illegal immigrants or DEI or anyone else. Jesus would be so against all of that based on the little that I know about the Bible and his acts and what he's trying to teach people about loving other people. This is in complete contravention to every single thing in the Bible.
Exactly.
So, and if you're not Christian, and people are trying to convince you to be Christian, it's actually, you are the worst marketing team ever for Christianity. You are the worst. Get off the marketing and advertising team, because you're pushing people away with that vitriol and acerbic discussions of other humans while you have that cross on your chest. For me, a non-Christian, to see the irony, I don't know if I want to be part of that group.
Right.
So I would just say, for people who are Christian and who are making statements about diversity and inclusion and equity, which I think Jesus was all for.
Right.
And for illegal immigrants and people who have a worse life than you, trying to make a better life, whether you really stand behind the principles that you say you do, because people like me, non-Christians, are watching. We're watching, do you walk the walk and are you talking the talk? And if you don't, you're not helping us to make a good decision if we want to be like you.
Right.
The love of money and the desire to be powerful, how it becomes like dopamine. It becomes
That's it. It's dopamine right there.
That issue.
Yep.
How you turn that dopamine feel and what you do to people, to others, to keep what you have or to gain more. That's really the issue.
Yep.
Right. It's okay to be wealthy. I don't have any problem
It is. There's no crime in it.
Corporations and such. It's how you treat other people in light of that. And I don't even 100% say you have to take all your money and share it. You can have sensible immigration policy. We can look and say, we're tapping out this and that in a certain area, and we can have sensible policy without treating people less than human. And I think what happens when you start to villainize people, as with slavery, you justify treating people less than human. You justify treating people like animals,
right?
Hurt people into cages because you feel they're taking something from me. I have a fear of them, or they're taking something that's mine. And when you start to peel back the onion and ask the questions, what I found is it doesn't matter if you explain the truth to certain people, because the truth is not important. What matters is what they feel and their interests. And they will mold the truth like silly putty around their interests and their desires,
right, to
make that be the truth, rather than the truth standing alone.
There you go. Yeah.
All that to say, look, I'm the first to say I am not Christian, because I need to be sure that I'm not standing in judgment of these people either, because that's not right. But it's an observation that the people who come to me with Christian principles and who are at church and who are reading the Bible have such hatred and such mistrust, and they don't know a single illegal immigrant. They've never met one, but some politicians are using that fear and that mistrust to get votes.
Right.
And I hope that people can think for themselves and not just listen to talking heads that already know who you are. They already know who your fears are. Right. They know what your fears are. They know what your greed is, and they make statements to flame those things, rather than you turning to the Bible and saying, what does this book say?
Right.
Not what politician A or politician B says, or in some cases, Pat, and forgive me, even pastors who misuse this.
That's right. You ask forgiveness for that. That's true.
Go to the book, your own book that you claim is the start. Go to that book and say, do my thoughts and statements and actions match those in this book?
Right.
And that's the only thing you should be judging it by.
That's right.
Nobody's ever expecting anybody to be perfect. That's not what this is about.
That's right.
But if your actions and if your words are in direct conflict,
right,
with the Bible, I have a hard time believing that you're Christian too.
Right.
Because you should be doing more than my blood is doing. Right. You should be at least trying to walk it. But if you're running the opposite way, I'm walking more than you.
That's right.
That's scary to me. And it's scary that minds can be manipulated, that they are allowed to say those things and think those things and actually take steps to hurt those people,
Right.
while at the same time getting praise and approval for it in their church.
Right.
I don't understand that.
It's like when you look at what the day stands for, and you look at the fact that Jesus was there forgiving the very people who were mocking him, who had just crucified him, who were laughing at him and doing all that disrespectful stuff, and he was still in the process of forgiving them, cleaning their slate. All they had to do is receive it. Well, when you look at that, and you look at us as a society, and we don't want to be bothered with black people. We don't want to be bothered with Latino people. We don't like Asians. We don't want to be around poor people. Homeless stay as far away from me as the East is from the West. Then, yes, where dwells the love? Where is the love? To me, it doesn't make sense, because for you to say you love God, but you hate your brother, that's scripture. It says there's no way you can call that love. If you can say you love God, who you cannot see, but you hate your brother, who you can see, how can you say that? No, because you don't see them as a brother. You see them as as an entity, as something beneath you. And God, when he created people, he put together a bouquet of roses, because to him, it was just colorful. It was beautiful. To us, some dingbat comes on the scene in 13 or 1400s and decides he's going to be the missionary of division. And he starts classifying and compartmentalizing all these different colors, shades, races, language, nationalities. So everybody, when they sit down, they have to identify themselves by this or by that or by the other, because there's only one superior race. Well, God's superior race is the human race, period. And that's the one thing that we really lose sight of when we look at what Christians did. I mean, what so-called Christians did to the Christians back in the day, to the Jews. We look at, all of this stuff that they did, like you said. They look at the slaves like they're not even human. They have to classify them and compartmentalize and label them as animals in order to feel justified treating them that way. But I honestly believe God will even punish for how mean you are to your animals, because he created them too. So
some people they don't see past their own selfish needs and wants. I need this ground to be tilled, but I can't afford labor, so I'm going to look at you and find a way to allow myself to go below ethical Christian treatment so I can accomplish my needs.
Right.
So I need to look at you in order for me to get what I want, which is I need people to work on this land. I need to change who you are and say you're not a human, you're less than a human, you're an animal, you're illegal, you're criminal, you're evil.
And I'm going to make you believe it.
And it's not only that. I mean, you can categorize somebody as criminal, but they're still a human.
That's right.
But it means the laws don't apply to you, ethics don't apply to you, Jesus' teachings don't apply to you. That's what you're basically saying.
That's right.
Jesus' teachings don't apply to you. It applies to me and people who look like me, but not you. And I'm not Christian, but if from the teachings of that book, I imagine that God will hold you so accountable.
Yes.
If you hide behind the book and twist the Bible and use it for an evil, sinful end, I just can't imagine if people are Christian, what will happen in the day of reckoning when they do that.
That's right. Exactly.
I can't imagine.
Exactly.
So,
and I'm going to tell you guys, for those of you who don't know my niece Erica, she honors God. She respects what Jesus stood for. She's just not sure about things, that's all. But she has never denied Christ.
And I'm really not trying to be judgmental.
I know that.
It's just that
I know that.
So many people present these opinions to me. They're coming to me telling me they feel this and think this, or they're saying it publicly. These illegal immigrants, we don't know who they are. they're thieves and they're stealing, and one illegal immigrant killed someone. I'm like, wait a minute. There's a non-illegal immigrant, a U.S. citizen, wiping out children at schools. U.S. citizens went to Vegas and killed 30 people. Why is one illegal immigrant's criminal act against one person wipe the slate clean for all these U.S. citizens who are doing horrendous things to each other? It's like 0.0005% of all crime. It's that.
I know.
Why are we focusing on that?
I know.
But everybody else isn't part of the crime mix. It's amazing.
I know. That's a mindset. It's a mindset that is so sick and so warped, and they don't see it. They see themselves as
why.
I know. I wonder why too. Where did that come from?
I don't want to say the reasons why, but there are reasons why people want to stop illegal immigration. But you have to read. You have to be a reader and go beyond. Well, they're using up resources, because if you really ask that question, then you'll answer it. Do they really use up resources?
No.
You have to ask the question: are they cheap labor that allows American businesses to be competitive? because our labor is so expensive and other labor is so cheap, right? So why if illegal immigration is so bad, how come we're not going after the companies who are hiring these people, because they're clearly working, versus the people themselves? Have you noticed that there's not these great fines and criminal acts toward any of these companies that are hiring them?
Of course.
Yet the focus is on the human. So I think people need to really ask, why is this so important? And go back. I always say, follow the money, or someone's afraid that their genetic pool is being affected. Minorities right now are 40%, I believe, of the U.S. I think like in 2035, it'll be 60%. Are there other concerns about, minorities becoming powerful, having power in government or having power in society? And I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying try to determine if there are reasons other than the ones that are being presented to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying that you're one thing, are you using man's decisions, man's ideas, or is it really the Christian principles when you say the things that you say?
Right.
And I'm only talking about illegal immigration,
right,
because I've heard it said to me so often that these illegal people, and do you know who they are? They're committing crimes and they're tapping out the resources, and with this pure hatred of this people. And Jesus would be the complete opposite.
Right.
So you have to really think about what you're saying and doing, and people being fearful of DEI and saying, oh, people are getting things unfairly. Well, excuse me, this whole country was built on people getting things unfairly and having laws against blacks to even own property, forbidding blacks from going to law school or holding corporate jobs. I mean, in the 80s, I would have never gotten a job in a law firm. Never. Even if I went to Harvard, I would have never gotten a law, because there was an implicit allowance to withhold people from those jobs.
Right.
And so people just have to remember what is the real reason for this treatment, and look beyond the statement and see if there are other reasons.
Thank you so much, Erica. This has really been rich. I hope it is thought-provoking for many of you listening to this conversation. God bless you.